successful entries, right? The way you have successful entries is by understanding whether you're at a supply zone or a demand zone. So it's a shift in mentality. You want to go from saying, I will buy at this zone or I will sell at this zone, right? You want to move away from that mindset, and you really want to ask yourself, is this going to be a supply zone? Is this going to be a demand zone? And what will price give me? It's a different shift in mentality. So as price comes down into this region, we are essentially looking for the opposite. So that wick over here, that very expansive wick, let's kind of break that down, right? So when you saw this wick over here, let me just circle that. So this wick over here, boom, right? We're going to be focusing on that wick. And so what was going on inside of that wick, right? And you can apply this to any time frame, any chart, whether it's crypto, forex, doesn't really matter. Over here, you saw a wick rejection. That was here. So again, you don't even need to read the numbers. You can just read the delta. And this is the advantage of using delta footprint charts on the ATAS platform. It essentially gives you the exact number of market participants hitting the bid and ask, but you can interpret this from the delta. The delta is essentially the red bars you see going this way. The red bars represent the negative delta. It shows you that there's more aggressive sellers than buyers hitting the bid. Now, let me ask you a question. How successful were all these buyers here? Sorry, sellers, aggressive sellers here, 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 throughout the entire level, that whole level essentially, for about 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 minutes, for about an hour to an hour and a half, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? You see so many aggressive sellers inside of the key level. Now, with that being said, the key level itself, we were unable to break below the key level, right? And that occurred for, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candles in a row, 6 candles before the break, right? What does that tell you, right? So this essentially a fair value gap, a bullish fair value gap, or any fair value gap, if you want to be buying from a fair value gap, it needs to be supported by passive buyers. So what that means is if aggressive sellers could not break below the zone, that means for basic knowledge, there were passive buyers that were present, and those buyers were able to move the price higher. So you want to shift, it's a mentality shift. You want to go from thinking about fair value gaps and support and resistance, or supply and demand. You want to go from thinking this is a support, this is a demand, or whatever, this is a supply, this is a resistance. You want to shift from thinking this is my key level, and I determine my key levels from things like fair value gaps, liquidity sweeps, the basic kind of ICT concepts. You want to come into a key level and you want to see whether it's going to be a demand zone or it's going to be a supply zone. So in this case, it became a demand zone because the sellers had no follow through. The sellers were absorbed, right? All this red delta was absorbed by the aggressive buyers, and that is the only reason, the passive buyers, and that is the only reason the market moved higher, because the market was being supported by the passive buyers, right? So that is why the market shoots up, and that's why the market rallied up. So just to sum this video up, ICT concepts alone will not work, and